Hey guys, this is Ryan Alford. Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We are knee deep in our e-commerce series, and we've got another radical guest that also happens to be in the e-com business. I'm really excited to have Callaway Wright on. Hey Callaway.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Cool. We're excited to have you on. So the founder, and I don't know if you call yourself a CEO, but you're definitely running as a CEO.
No,
Mess in a bottle.
I'm in the CEO hat right now. I'm definitely founder and CEO for sure.
Yep, founder and CEO of Mess in a Bottle, which we're going to talk more about momentarily. And you know, for the ones that watch our videos on YouTube, if you're watching the video, you'll see I'm sporting a T-shirt from Mess in a Bottle. We'll talk more about the messages and what they mean, but they go right down our path, especially being in the business marketing kind of entrepreneurial space. Really cool messages. But Callaway, let's just start, where we start most of these. You kind of tell us about you, your background, and, we'll kind of lead right into where we are now today with Mess in a Bottle.
Right. So Mess in a Bottle, so we're a T-shirt company, and we come packaged in a reusable bottle. So I had this idea in 2016, shortly after the Freddie Gray riots. Freddie Gray, an African-American male, he died while in police custody. And so I really wanted my community to have a way of having a voice. So we wanted to give a voice to the voiceless, and we wanted to invoke change. So I started putting these messages on T-shirts, and then I had them packaged in the reusable bottle. So this comes from the 310 BC concept of receiving a message in the ocean. So that's pretty much the history and how Mess in a Bottle really got started.
Well, let's go back even a little further. I love that, and I love the notation. It makes me think of Castaway almost, the old Tom Hanks movie. He had the volleyball they wrote stuff on. But you would have killed to have gotten a message on the island. But let's talk more about your background though. I mean, where you grew up. I know you're from Jamaica originally.
I was born in Jamaica, raised in Brooklyn. Yep.
And Penn State graduate. Did I pick up on that?
Penn State graduate, and then I went to Morgan State University for grad. So I just had, this background in architecture. Like I was chasing this architecture career for a while now. And it really, surprisingly enough, I was chasing architecture, but fashion was really always, my first love. So even when I was chasing architecture, I would still work at different fashion retail companies at night. So I worked at places like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Club Monaco. So, fashion was just always a part of my life. But I think that I really wanted to take the architecture realm just so, I think that it was just different for a woman to wear a hard hat and for me to really learn about like construction and things like that. And I think that design aesthetics really has now aided me within my fashion design and fashion company.
Well, they're kind of this. I mean, it's probably not as far apart as you think. It's like how do things get made? How are they built? Right. How are they brought together? What are the component parts that make something more than the original? So I see the connection there. Sure, it's helped your brain, maybe the way you've built the company. I'm sure it's helped on some levels.
It has, and what I've told myself is, I didn't box myself into being just a designer of buildings. I am a designer now of apparel, of clothing. So I really do think that it's really about how you look at your work and how you're able to strategically, position what because now architecture has helped me to design my bottles and use those to really create, for us to be able to put our T-shirts inside. So I really did use my architecture degree and career and, the design experience to really build out Mess in a Bottle.
What's it been like building the company? We'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts of the marketing and this website and all those things. But what's it been like building the company and becoming an entrepreneur and, all of those things that they're always perfect, right?
Yeah, right. Of course they are.
Yeah, right. What's it been like?
I think that it's been quite interesting, especially right now. Like I'm in a phase where I'm shifting from, as you said, founder and just this creator and, grassroots and trying to figure out how to make a company work, where now we have the how. And so now it's just like, okay, well, what's the next step? And it's really, keeping steady sales, scaling the business, really understanding the business. Like that's a whole different beast and animal. And, I think that now I'm at a different space in the business where I'm like, now I'm really trying to figure out how to sustain a company and become the CEO. So, I think that I went from being a founder to now I'm the CEO, and eventually, sooner than later, I think I'll just become the owner, where, I'm more overseeing everything and I'm not worried about the day to day as much as I am now.
Yep, that makes sense. Talk about like maybe the early stages. You had the idea, and
Mm-hmm.
once you started that early scale, I mean, was it just we started an e-com site, you started getting the word out there? Maybe talk about some of the early states of e-com and building for you.
Yeah, so we started initially on a platform called Big Cartel. And so, at the time, I thought it was a really cool way of me being able to start an e-com website, putting up some products and kind of figuring it out. And so then we transitioned from Big Cartel to eventually Shopify, which of course Shopify has a lot of analytics, a lot of background, a lot of, for you to really figure out how your business is doing. So we did these two, different e-commerce sites, and it's been quite interesting because I think right now, even during the pandemic, where a lot of retailers are closing, I think one of the advantages that we've had is we've already built this really, sustainable e-commerce business. And so while a lot of people were scrambling, trying to get their business on e-commerce, we were already on here with a lot of data and a lot of information. And, we've worked the last like 4 to 5 years with really honing in on our audience and really using the time to look at how to scale and what to do within an e-commerce business and how to still also capture your audience's attention. And there's just a lot of details that I think that we had the upper hand and advantage because we've been on e-commerce now for several years.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we've had really similar discussions with other entrepreneurs that were well positioned with everything that's gone on. So kudos there. Is What are the marketing channels that have driven the most success for you guys? Over your 3 4 years. I'm sure some of those have changed, or you've added things on. It's how it goes. When you have more budget, you can spend more money. You
Yeah.
can do those things. But maybe talk about some of those marketing channels that have been successful for you guys.
Definitely, I would say Facebook and Instagram. Instagram even more. I think that just for my age group and where we are within the business, and so I think that we really target people anywhere from 23 to like 36. And I think that that has really, that's the core audience of probably people on Instagram and Facebook here and there. But I think really using those channels as well as podcasts and having just a lot of visibility. I think that people don't even understand how much going on others' podcasts and really being able to, have that type of exposure has also been very integral as well.
Yeah, you've had a ton of great PR. I saw it in doing some of the research, and Reiley, our producer, was already a fan. From the PR that's been out there. At what point did you shift? And I'm assuming you have team help now. I mean, that's the hardest I think for entrepreneurs. Is like,
Mhm.
you're doing everything yourself. I'm sure it's all like skin and bones to get the thing going. Was the transition hard or easy for you to take on resources that were helping?
It's that okay, maybe hard. I'm gonna say hard. It's hard because I think that it's almost like being a mechanic or or being the car driver. Like yeah, I'll say I'm the car driver, and you're used to rigging your car. You're like, oh, I don't need the mechanic to do this, this, and that. But and so you start to jack it up and you do your own thing, and you're like, it works. Like, why get a professional or somebody, and then and then a mechanic comes in and they're like, you can die like this. And I think that that's kind of what I've experienced with the business and giving up, some of the power, the things that I'm so used to doing. I think that for me, I'm like, it works, it rigs, I can make it work. But I think that I have accepted that at this point in this stage, I'm no longer making it work. I want it to be, flawless. I want it to work well. I want it to be easy and like not as stressful on me. So I think that, I'm like, the reason that I'm trusting these people and hiring professionals is because, we want a successful, thriving business. And so I think that as a founder, sometimes you have to let go of that control and know that these people are here and there are other resources that can really help you. And if you want the business to grow, you cannot just continue to depend on just you. Like, I'm home now, with my son, and it's one of those things where it's just like through this pandemic and through the shift of your business, we may not have been able to survive if it was just me doing all of the marketing, the social media, the e-commerce site, and then having production as well. So I think that if you want to grow and if you want to scale, you're going to have to make some of those hard choices in letting go. And I think one of the biggest things that happened at a staff meeting recently is they said, what part do you want to know about? Like, where do you want to be involved in? And like, whatever you don't want to be involved in, like we're not going to include you in.
How big is the team now?
We have about 12 to 16 people. Like it's growing, it's changing.
Wow.
We're hiring, we're getting new people. So yeah, we have a good amount of people.
I know the apparel business, the t-shirt business. I think there's a lot of people. It's a popular space. It's a perceived easy. I know different because we've helped enough companies, especially on the fulfillment and production side. And I know you do some masterclass stuff. We'll give some shout outs to that at the end. So we won't break down every secret maybe, but could talk about some maybe recommendations or anyone out there that might be starting a t-shirt company, apparel. Any quick tips that might salivate the listener to maybe come check out your master course?
So I would just say that there are a couple different ways for you to start your own apparel or t-shirt company. You don't have to have a lot of money, don't have to have a lot of following. I've made a lot of mistakes through the years, with dabbling into different parts of the business. And, so like you mentioned, I do the T class to really share, and I'm very transparent about a lot of our successes or things that I didn't do so well that I'm still working towards. So I think that for anyone who wants to start an apparel brand, I do think it's easier than maybe a lot of people think. But I do think, and you can actually start it with almost little to no startup capital. But I do think that if you want to scale it and grow it, like, you'll then need funding for that.
How much are you? Do you produce all your stuff ahead? Are you at the point now where you keep a production amount of certain things versus, call it on demand with whatever it is?
Yeah.
I mean, is it?
A little bit of both. We're a little bit of a mix. So again, having an operations manager, we do a lot of forecasting. So we'll sort of say like, okay, we think we're going to do this amount of number. Maybe we should, increase the amount of products that we have, or the amount that might be allocated to a certain product. So we really just really focus on the forecasting part of it, look at the numbers, and then we set our goals at the beginning of the month, and then from there we go on to to really think about what's doing well, and then we do weekly and monthly check-ins as well.
How do you come up with the messages? I mean, do you have a writing team now? I mean, do they know kind of your vision? They're helping. It seems like it originated with your mind, and I still see the thumbprint everywhere, but maybe talk about your process for creative.
It still is me. It's still, so I recently hired a creative director, and I think that it's been helpful to have somebody like help to flesh out the ideas. But overall, the messages are still me, and and it's been able to work in that direction because I think our marketing and our audience are really made up of people that look like me, and I think that it's been good because the voice and the message, it comes from a black woman. And so I think that it's just been really nice that now, other groups, other ethnicities, they are also just appreciating the voice of a black woman. And so I think that for me, I'm not open yet to like a writing team and like, my creative director, he gets the most of it because I'm just like, it has to be very authentic to me and I don't divert from that.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about there since you went there. I mean, the empowerment, a black entrepreneur, female that is empowering others. That just seems like a message that's got to be hitting home now. What kind of feedback are you getting? Like you said, it's got to be great.
Yeah, it is. I think that, I think that people are really excited that I started this thing from nothing. And, they've watched me, grow the brand, figure out what I want to do, make mistakes. So I think that it's been really, it's been gratifying to see, like almost like your home team is winning.
Yeah.
And they've been really, rooting me on and really, people buy. My mom is a super fan and supporter, of course, and she buys literally every month, like several mess in a bottle. She has more than I do. And so, it's been really sweet where I think people who are even strangers, like that's the energy that I get. They just really want to support the brand, and it's been helpful to spread the message.
Have you been involved in maybe even in like the youth movement? And it just seems like it would be a great message to be, in the African American community. I think there's maybe I would assume this perception that maybe it's something that's not attainable, and you're sitting here living proof of that and living that daily.
Yeah, we actually had several schools. Like I do mentorship. I probably don't post about it as much as I should, but we do mentorship as well as we have different, groups of kids who come and they come to the shop, they see what we're doing. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think that people do want to see, especially a black woman sitting at the head of a table and the fact that you can have a dream and allow it to become something real that is attainable and that you can touch. And that's been my main goal. I mean, not even just for kids. I think just for even, here in Baltimore, we have a lot of youth that are cleaning cars outside and I try my best to teach them and say to them, like, this is not your only means of being able to get money and start your own business. Like, I want to show you what entrepreneurship really looks like.
Yep. I love it. What's been, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot of it, but what are you most proud of?
What I'm most proud of is probably, I would say maybe my son. I think my son really enjoys, like, he hates it on the most days, but coming to the shop, I think being able to come to a space. So I would say my son and also being able to hire, especially black women. I think that, and I've created this space where we feel comfortable in the space. I think that even now having all these conversations about like black women's hair and going into work and this is something that we've lived with for years where it's like, we're a show pony and it's like, oh, tell me about your hair, tell me about your texture. And so now it's a space where we're all like, hey, this is my 4C hair and this is, what I'm putting in it. This is what products I use and it's comfortable. It's not, it's not rigid and it's not a place where you're afraid to be you. So I think that I'm very proud of allowing my son to be able to see this space that I've created for black women. I think that that's one of the most things that I'm proud of.
What any partnerships? So anything going back to maybe the business and marketing side, anything that you can talk about? I mean, you've got direct to consumer site. You're doing a lot of things on social media. Any visions or goals to be? It looks like there is, but I'll let you speak to it. With partnerships or more mass selling, or whether that's Amazon or Walmart or shoot Gucci or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are we thinking? Or do we anything in the
So
works?
definitely next year we will be in a mass retailer, so that is going to be exciting. And I think that honestly, I'm just pretty open and allowing, the universe to sort of lead me in whatever direction it's going in. And so I think that I'm really open. We had a partnership last year with Warner Brothers. And so I think that I'm continuing to be surprised to what's to come. I don't even know sometimes as to, whose vision board I'm on. So I think that it's been really cool to sort of watch these things happen and just and allow it to.
I love it. So we can't name the mass retailer yet.
I can't, not yet. It's coming though.
All right, the Radcast wanted to break the news.
I know, it's coming. We'll be announcing pretty soon, maybe in about a month.
Okay.
But I'll say in January we'll be in stores.
Nice. Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
As we kind of close out here, we've kind of danced around a little bit, but what's the not end game, but where's all this going? Where are we headed?
No, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out too. I mean, I don't know. I have dreams of possibly a mess and bottle beverage, dreams of a mess and bottle hotel, the Message Hotel. I think I have dreams of maybe selling the company for, several $1 million. I have no idea, so I think that I'm just really open to whatever comes. I think the vending machine is something that we want to probably pay attention to and start to deploy some vending machines all over. So I'm just open. I think that this has been a fun ride, and I've been really excited and just open to whatever's to come.
I have an idea for your vending machine. You need to have a mystery soda, and you don't know which shirt you're going to get.
Exactly. I like it. And it's just a mess.
Exactly. Well, Kalila, it's been really great. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I think there's been some enlightening things. I love that, just kind of that message of opportunity that is out there. I know there's a lot of negativity in the world and a lot of negative news, but I think you're living proof that there is opportunity, and you're showing others that opportunity and building a hell of a business at the same time.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for having me.
My pleasure. We'll talk soon. Thank you, man.
Thank you.